Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Tuesday, March 29th, 2016. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5. Joined on Tuesday, as always, by Duane Long. Duane, how are you this fine morning?
Oh, man, just getting ready for spring. I'm so ready for it. It seems like winter won't leave us alone, keeps popping back up, but spring's winning the contest, and I'm loving it.
I had the good fortune of being on break last week. Glad to be back and back to what's temporarily a shiny gem city. So, speaking of shiny, not the basketball program. If you listen to this podcast on Tuesdays with Duane, we usually tend to focus more on recruiting on the football team, and we will get to that, but duty calls. In the last 72 hours or so, the Buckeyes have had a big man who doesn't appear to have an NBA future leave, or at least agree to test NBA waters, in Trevor Thompson. And yesterday, the bombshell, Daniel Giddens, freshman out of Georgia, announced that he is transferring. We also hear that A.J. Harris could be on the way out, and others. It's kind of a hard question to ask because there's so much that's going on. What is your vibe on the basketball program now? Are we witnessing the end of an era for Thad Matta?
It just seems like it's happening. As you said, 72 hours. 72 hours ago, I was still so rock solid in Matta's court. My biggest thing still is that the youth, the team is so young. It's hard to win with that many young guys out there running around. And then you have Mark Loving, who's a hit-and-miss kind of guy. You don't know what you're going to get out of him game in and game out, and he's supposed to be your leader. So it's kind of a tough situation that Matta was in. But when you start seeing so many things go wrong with personnel like that, it just makes you wonder, are the wheels coming off? Are we seeing the end of an era? But I also think that we have to look at the possibility that Thad Matta knows this is not working. I've got to get some guys out of here. I'm not talking about Giddings. I don't think he meant for Giddings to go. I think Matta might be saying, okay, I got to get some guys out of here and just don't. I got to get some players in here. You're not going to play. You may want to start looking for another school. I really think that could be happening. We'll see what happens when. It sounds like there may be another guy or two. We know he's been scholarship tight. He has not had the opportunity to really go out and aggressively recruit. We're talking about the fact that recruiting's not going well. Well, what can he do? He can't. He doesn't have any scholarships. So I'm wondering. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen with these next couple of guys, if there are these guys that actually do leave. I think that might tell us something about whether Matta is just cleaning house and saying, okay, we gotta do this, we gotta restart this thing. So we'll see. I'm at that point now. We'll see. I'm not ready to leave the coach. I really believe that Thad Matta is a good coach. I think this is more about his assistant coaches started to get better jobs, and I don't think he's done a good job of replacing them and getting the personnel in here. Those are the two things that I think have really hurt Matta. It's not he didn't suddenly stop being a coach that can get teams to the Final Four. I mean, come on. Well, he didn't just get basketball stupid. So let's see what he's getting ready to do here. See who actually leaves. I think it's going to be very interesting and tell us a lot about what Thad Matta's got in mind.
I agree. I'm not in favor of getting rid of Thad at this point. I do understand those who have been calling for it, that this would be the time for them to speak the loudest. That always makes sense if there's mass exodus. But I do see Thad is kind of at a crossroads here, as I set it up when I asked the question. Where is the program headed? So there's obviously has to be some changes made. Many people believe and I'm tending to agree with him now, that there needs to be some changes made to the staff. Things just aren't working correctly. That's a culture issue on some level, and that can usually be fixed by changing people on the staff. I mean, obviously you're not going to change the head coach, but they just lost basically, if the rumors are true, and Giddens and then A.J. Harris, anyone, they're going to essentially lose an entire class. It's very difficult to rebound from as a program. The way something similar kind of happened at Maryland a few years ago, there was a complete exodus. Now, Maryland turned that into good fortune. They managed to snag a big-time recruit in Melo Trimble. They got another big-time recruit the next year in Diamond Stone, and then they added in, transfers like Robert Carter from Georgia Tech and Rashid Suleiman from Duke. We know that Matta is in the transfer market right now. That transfer market, and by that I mean guys who are eligible to play right away, go look at the list. It's growing. The transfer market in college basketball has become an absolute second recruiting season. There are a lot of good kids out there. We heard yesterday about Cullen Neal, Craig Noodles Neal, coach at New Mexico. His son could be coming, or at least is being considered. So it can be rebuilt quickly, but does Matta even want to do that? This is not an easy job that's in front of him. He's had health issues. If Matta wants to do it, if his goal is to get the program back to where it needs to be, I think he can do it. But it's going to take a Herculean effort, and it's not going to be easy by any stretch. The problem with Giddens, and I will admit with Giddens, he was not as good a player as I thought he would be. A little bit of project guy, mechanical. The problem is they spent a ton of time recruiting the guy, and then he was here for a short period of time and left. You don't get anything for that. All that time was wasted, and that was time that could have been spent recruiting other people. So it's not just that you lost Giddens now; you lost that time that you could have spent on others. So I don't think there's any question that in terms of the needle, it's not pointing up right now. And Thad's it's going to take a lot of work to do that. So we shall see. I'm in favor of Thad probably getting a few new assistant coaches, at least one or two, and going from there. We shall see. Unfortunately, basketball doesn't tend to take the headlines at Bucknuts unless something negative happens. So let's hope we can come back with some equally positive information. Okay, we're going to move on to what Ohio State does incredibly well, and that is recruit. I talked about this on the Bucknuts 90 over the weekend, and I hope people are just sitting back and wallowing to some point in the greatness. Go look at the class of 2017 recruiting rankings. They are so far out in front by total, by average. They are dominating. It seems like every day we hear no discussion of another five-star guy. Today I want to focus on Tyjon Lindsey, the receiver, former Bishop Gorman star, now back in California at his hometown, visited this weekend, and you talked about seeing him on tape recently. Tell the people what they're in for if Ohio State can possibly establish a long-term relationship here with Lindsey.
This kid is so absolutely special in space. He is, the name Reggie Bush has been brought up, and the more I look at him, that you have to watch this 7-on-7 film Alex put up. Find it, Bucknutters. If you don't watch any other film on any other 2017 kid, you have to see the 7-on-7. They're out there running around. He's catching the ball extremely well. He's not just a kid that's lightning in a bottle in the open field. He actually has the skill set to take advantage of it. He is doing things. You're talking about guys out there running around in T-shirt and shorts. They're not getting a hand on him. He's catching the ball and tackle him. They're trying to get a hand on him. He's unbelievably quick, and he's got top-end speed too. He's quick and fast. There's a difference. You have to see this. He changes direction at speed. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a player do this. You have to find the 7-on-7 Bucknutters. It is.
We'll put it up there for
you won't. We won't. You won't be able to. You won't be able to wipe the grin off your face, especially when you consider that really, at this point, it just seems like it's a matter of time before we get him. Just the unique talent and pulling him out of that situation. You know, he's still a Bishop Gorman kid. You know, we're really working that program nicely. They've got a quarterback that's nice here down the road. So you got to see the film, though. This kid in a Buckeye uniform, well, you want to see him standing on the sidelines because once he hits the field, you're not going to see him. He's just that fast. So take a look at that film. We'll find it for you.
Let me play devil's advocate here just for the purposes of entertaining podcast discussion. What if I say to you, didn't we go after a small guy named Sam Bruce last year?
Sam Bruce. Yeah, but Sam Bruce doesn't have this kind of. Sam Bruce was quick. Sam Bruce, I didn't think he had that elite top-end speed. Lindsey does. Lindsey's also strong. There's a game film of him as a defensive player, and he brings it. He's probably going to be too small to play defense in college, but if you wanted to, yeah, it really comes down to you want this kid with the ball in his hands as much as you can. He's just incredible to watch.
Okay, to another kid, 2018 standout that's drawn some interest recently, Leonard Taylor, tight end, strong side defensive end out of Springfield, Ohio. Well, Springfield's already had a player commit to Michigan. Taylor has visited both spots recently. If you look at his crystal ball, it's 70% basically Ohio State, 30% Michigan. Springfield, the last time Ohio State recruited a kid heavily out of Springfield, his name was Trey DePriest, and he chose Bama. New coaching staff there. For those who don't know, the coaching staff at Springfield is now Maurice Douglas, formerly of Trotwood, and the Chicago Bears secondary for what it's worth. And there's some question, at least in the Dayton area, as I said here, about Douglas, because in the past he's steered kids to Michigan. That said, none of the kids he steered to Michigan, or not many of them, if I remember correctly, had an Ohio State offer. So what is your thoughts on Taylor and maybe your general vibe on his recruitment?
Well, I first have to say something about Maurice Douglas. I know this guy, and this thing, he steered kids towards Michigan. I'm glad you made that comment about they had Michigan offers. They did not have Ohio State offers.
Right.
He's going to put them in the best situation he can get his kids in, and that's the way it is. And you know, I hope that that fans really pick up on that. It's about kids that did not have Ohio State offers. Yeah, he got them into Michigan. Okay. He can't. What's he want? Going to have him walk on at Ohio State? No, come on. As far as Leonard Taylor's concerned, I love him. I think he's a great-looking player. I don't think he's going to play tight end or strong side defensive end. We're talking about a couple more years of high school. I think he's a 3-technique tackle at the next level. But kid does a great job of using his hands. He gets out in front of guys and steers defenders away. He gets rid of them. That's the one thing I like is, you know, interior defensive linemen. They're going to get. It's hard to just run free. You got to be able to get off the blocks. We talk about linebackers with that. Well, linemen, it's even more automatic, and he gets off of blockers. Strong kid. There's so much to like about him. He's 250 pounds or so right now. A couple of more years of high school. He'll be 280, 285. He's going to be a 3-technique tackle, but he's a kid we very much want. Glad to see we had a good visit with him. I'm confident. Just what I'm hearing, I think we're going to get that kid because of the teammate at Michigan, and there's some kind of, I think the kid's brothers at Michigan or something. They're probably going to be in his ear trying to talk him out of it, but I think we end up with Leonard Taylor.
Duane is on point, by the way. Taylor is projected at defensive tackle. If you look at the 24/7 Sports top players for 2018, he's actually the number 2 defensive tackle on the list. He's different than the other guys. For example, the number 1 guy is Teron Vincent Shocker at IMG Academy, 6'2", 285. Number 3, Matthew Jones from Erasmus Hall in Brooklyn, 6'4", 300. Taylor's listed at 6'6", 258, so he's more the Miami guy that plays for the Cardinals. Calais Campbell, I'm sorry, people. Calais Campbell. He's more that style, kind of a bigger, longer, stronger, power forward type, which I think is good to invest in. And if you're wondering, DeMatha, defensive tackles at number 5. So anyone who doesn't think that Ohio State is going to lay down roots at places like IMG and DeMatha and Gorman off base. We will see what happens with Leonard Taylor. Obviously, the Buckeyes will be focused in on him. We do not want to let the number 2 rated defensive tackle in the country in a class get away. We hope you enjoyed the Morning Five this morning. Keep it locked into Bucknuts. Urban Meyer will be meeting with the media today. We'll have the guys there with bells on. We're hoping to get video from practice when they're warming up and getting a few plays in. They do not let us shoot as much as we like, but we will try and get that for you. Keep it locked into Bucknuts. Have a great one, Bucknutters.